Alright, welcome back everybody. Thanks for being here today. So today's video is about 9 more taboo, weird, or illegal things in America that are normal in Germany. And I got the idea to click on this video because I was watching Kitchen Nightmares last night, and you know, on the American version they like bleep out all the curse words and everything, but on the I'm gonna say UK, I don't know if it's just Britain. So the UK version, they're totally normal. You know what I mean? So it's like, why are they in this one but not in this one? You know, so I've always found that fascinating. You know, certain things, like I'm a big Call of Duty fan, but certain Call of Duty games are banned in other countries and they're not banned here in the States. But we can't say curse words on TV here in the States in most shows. It's like, what's the difference? So I'm very curious about this. So let's go ahead and hop into the video. 9 illegal, weird, or taboo things in America that are normal in Germany.
Hey folks, Austin here. I am back at it again with another Sellout America-Germany comparison video. And before we start, it's important for me to note that while I will definitely make them during this video, I do not agree with making generalizations about a country or culture. For the purposes of this video, though, it's simply easy.
Agreed. No generalizations. Just because they're different doesn't mean anything, you know what I mean? So, agreed with that.
Easier for me to say in Germany instead of starting every sentence with something like based on my personal experiences and what I can infer about the country as a whole based on my limited exposure living in 2 areas for just a year. Insert topic here. Well, first, I'm going to be talking about some things that people brought up in the comment section in my last video. First is going to be the Autobahn and how in Germany it doesn't have a speed limit, or at least certain sections of it doesn't have a speed limit. Of course, here in the US, we don't have any roads that don't have speed limits, unfortunately. The fastest you can go, and you guys are going to love this, is in Texas with a height of 85 miles an hour, which roughly translates to 137 kilometers per hour. So the state that allows you to carry a sword in public also has the fastest highways. In my opinion, it only makes sense.
I had no idea you could carry a sword. That's awesome.
Another interesting comment was prostitution, how it's legal in Germany and illegal in the US, with the exception of the state of Nevada, which has several counties that are allowed to have brothels, but of course outside of those brothels, prostitution is still illegal everywhere else in the state.
It's mainly Vegas. That's why they say what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, you know. I did see that, because, you know, like, things like Amsterdam, everybody gets that in their head. Of course, I'm taught that when you're young, you know, that's just like the stereotype of Amsterdam, which now I'm grown up, I know that's just completely false. It's just a gorgeous, gorgeous city. But yeah, no, that's definitely true. And prostitution's only legal in mainly Vegas, but Nevada.
Was the age of consent, which from everything I've seen is 14 in Germany, while in the US that's going to be between 16 and 18 depending on the state. And I have no doubt that one is riddled with technicalities and unique situations.
I always thought it was just 18.
And finally we have the Kinder Überraschungseier, or the Kinder Surprise Egg, which was brought up several times in the comments section. And of course it is illegal in the United States. That's because the 1938 Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act, which in short says you can't have a non-food item inside of a food item if you cannot see the non-food item, and it's a bunch of garbage. I think we should have them, and I'm really mad that we don't. And that is my 2 cents on the matter. Alright, so the first thing from my list is...
I didn't know that. I mean, because I always... When I was younger, I remember them having what I thought were Kinder Eggs on there, and you could shake them and they had like little hard candies or something. And I could be completely wrong with that. I could be completely wrong, but that's kind of weird. It's kind of weird.
Is going to be taking a gap year, and this one's pretty straightforward. In the United States, in my experience at least, it seems extremely taboo for US students to take a year off between high school and college and do something non-college related. I think a part of that goes back to high school, where it's drilled into our heads that you have to go straight from high school to college, and there's not a lot of room for pit stops. However, in Germany, that didn't seem to be the case, and gap years didn't seem to be taboo at all. A lot of people that I worked with or that I knew had taken a gap year. You know, they'd gone off, seen the world, gained some real world experience, and really developed as a person. However, it is important to note perhaps that for students in the US at least, taking a gap year to go travel Europe or something would be extremely expensive. College is expensive enough, and for some people it makes sense that it wouldn't be financially feasible. In Europe, of course, it's easy to get around, and you're right next to all those other countries, so that could be a reason for it.
I don't want to stop at a again, so I'll wait till the end
Now,
to tell
I
you a
don't know
story
enough
about
about
that.
either education system to get really technical with any of this, but like I said, I feel that the expectation of American students is college or bust, essentially. There's such a large, clear push from schools to go to a 4-year liberal arts university that other options are largely overlooked, such as like a technical college or a vocational school. So what I thought was really interesting about Germany is that
Nothing beats real world experience. I do not care. Now, if you're going for like a medical professional or like a lawyer or something, sure. But if you're going just for an everyday job, nothing beats just applying for it and having real world experience and having what they would call street smarts. That's my philosophy on it. I mean, I didn't go to college, and part of that's because it costs so much money, and I got tired of taking tests. I'm just not much of a test taker. I'm not as smart as what that piece of paper says. That's what I looked at it as.
Institutionally, there
Or
were other
stupid,
options for
and,
students,
take
and
it how you
students
want it.
were aware of these other options. And attending a vocational or technical school was not taboo, or at the very least, not as taboo as in the United States. So for this story, we're going back to my first couple of weeks in Germany. I had just arrived at my new host family's house. It was 1 o'clock in the morning. I was editing some video. I had Comedy Central on while I worked in the background, and I leaned back in my chair to stretch, and I was probably right on the edge of the chair to the point where you were just perfectly balanced. And I looked over, and then bam, on the TV where Comedy Central used to be is now some kind of ad for a porn channel or something. I don't know. I was so shocked to see this on what used to be Comedy Central channel that I actually fell out of my chair and made a huge ruckus in the house in the middle of the night at my new host family's house. Of course, throughout the year, I got more used to seeing nudity, in public and magazines and on TV
Is
and
that
stuff like that.
still a common
It
thing?
was so
Do you guys still have that? That's kind of that's different. I wasn't expecting that.
weird at first because that is something that is very taboo and very uncommon in the U.S. Like you would never walk through a train station in the U.S. and go to the magazine section that everyone can go and see, and the top couple magazines are like topless women. It's not something that would happen.
Yep, that's
So non-cash transaction methods are extremely popular in the U.S. Anything you need to buy throughout the day, you can likely use a card of some sorts or like Apple Pay or something. We're just not that much of a cash culture as I felt was the case in Germany. And to a degree, I kind of like this in Germany, how it was easy to carry around some euros in my pocket to buy like an ice cream cone or something. I know that's like a super specific small example, and I have no doubt there are places that do take cards, but it seemed like people just carried a lot more cash than here in the U.S.
Yeah, I got myself in trouble quite a bit early out of high school when I got my first debit card, because it's just and I walked to get lunch one day at a Wendy's, and in front of everybody they told me, "Oh, sorry, your card's declined." I pulled out my app and I had no money on it, and that was kind of it was an awkward moment, and it was a little bit of a wake-up call. So I've mainly switched back to cash unless it's just like a bill or something to pay online.
So this is something
I do as much
find
cash as I can, I'll
extremely
say that.
interesting, and I don't know if this is true all over Germany, but I definitely ran into it quite often where I lived in Bavaria, and it blew my mind every single time. And that is, at the end of the meal, the server will come and will not have like a printed bill of what you ordered, but instead ask you what you ordered and then charge you on the spot based on what you've told them. And that's such an amazing degree of trust that
Really?
I do not think that American restaurants
No.
would extend to their customers. So if you're an American
like that,
and
though.
you do
I do
not
like
tip
that.
your
That's a
server,
good idea.
you are doing it way wrong. You see, here in Freedom Land, it's entirely customary to tip your server, 15 to 20%. Tipping is such a big deal that sometimes if I'm unsure if the service requires a tip or not, I'll tip anyway just to avoid the crippling awkwardness of not tipping when I should have. Moving to Germany, tipping did not really seem to be a big thing. Rounding off the bill, sure, and maybe like a little bit of a tip, but nothing like in the United States.
Yeah, tipping's pretty
Alright folks,
popular.
well that's all I've got for you guys today. If you liked the video, go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe if you'd like to see more of my content. in the future. And if they do things a little bit differently in your home country, leave me a comment. I'd love to know. In other news, you can find me on Instagram at almostaustin, and I recently made a Spotify, so you can find links in the description to some of my Spotify playlists, or just type in Rec Hair. Anyway, I will see you guys around. Take care. Au revoir. Ciao. Auf Wiedersehen.
Okay, so for one, we'll probably have to try to find his other video he did there. Let's see. The gap year thing, that's what I wanted to get back to. So, we'll probably have to try to find his other video he did there just to see what the other video said. But yeah, that was a little different. I wasn't expecting like the nudity thing in public. I mean, it is what it is. I personally don't care about that kind of stuff as long as it's like within reason. You know what I mean? Like, the magazines and stuff is one thing. I don't think it's necessarily good to have people walking on the street naked or something like that. But anywho, that was different. I wasn't expecting a couple of those, so that was that was a good video. I enjoyed that one quite a bit. Now, what I wanted to say about the gap year was I was in a grocery store one time, and I had to go. That's where we went to pay the electric bill, and I was standing there, and we were waiting in line, and this veteran walked up, and he said, he was talking to his buddy. And he said, I believe that children should be, or that the military service should be mandated. He said, it doesn't mean I believe that everybody should go to war. He just thinks that lots and lots of kids don't know what they're doing when they exit high school. Especially here in the U.S. where you have, I'm just saying it as the U.S. I don't know if it's the same, but you have such a variety of things you can do that he's like, a majority of the kids, if they're not going to college for sports, or they're not going for like a lawyer or a doctor, they know what they want to do and they have their head set on it. Go to the military. He said, for one, you can stay in the military and graduate retire after 20 years. They'll pay for your college if you want to do that. He said, and it teaches you discipline, it teaches you responsibility, and it gives you that extra time to think about what you want to do while you have a structure set in front of you to teach you all those responsibilities, those values and stuff. And I thought, wow, that's a really good idea. Of course, that was a couple years ago, and that ship has sailed for me as far as coming out of high school and being like that. So that was my little story I wanted to say. Thank you all so much for watching the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It's so nice of you to do that. It's tremendously helpful for me. It's free for you, and you can undo it at any time, even though I really hope you don't do it. Like the video if you haven't already, please. Leave a comment on what you found taboo, what other things in Germany are taboo. If you're American watching this, what you think, so on and so forth. But thank you all so much for being here. I appreciate it, and we'll see you on the next one.